look out the window. Stocks collapsed all over the world. Industries closed, nations closed down. Everything closed down. I don't remember a time like this in world history, when I've been alive anyway. In my view, most countries overreacted and they shouldn't have closed down, but who cares what I think? They did it, and it's had huge impacts on everybody, and it is now. Now we have governments all over the world printing staggering amounts of money and borrowing and spending staggering amounts of money. I don't know how old you are, Elijah, but it is not good to be young in America in 2020. It's not good to be old in America in 2020 because the debt that is building up is, I don't know how anybody's ever going to deal with it. There's not. That's why it's good to be old instead of young. But Japan, Elijah, in Japan, every day the head of the central bank goes to work early, cranks up the printing presses, prints. He says, his words, unlimited, that's his word, unlimited amounts of money, and he's buying ETFs and futures and indexes and stocks. It's staggering what's happening in Japan. Japan has huge debt and a population which is declining for 10 years. It's terrible to be a kid in Japan in 2020. When that kid is 40 or 50, the people are going to be gone and the debt's going to be through the roof. I'm not saying America doesn't have it's not just as bad because we don't have a declining population, but all over the world, this is leaving a huge burden on all economies and all populations. My stocks go down when the markets go down, and sometimes I get it right and my stocks go up. At the moment, I am looking for things that have been beaten down a lot. I bought a Russian transportation company recently, Chinese wine companies. People stopped going to restaurants, stopped going to bars. I bought Japanese ETFs. The head of the Bank of Japan buys ETFs. Well, he's got more money than I do, Elijah. If he's buying ETFs, I want to buy Japanese ETFs too. So it has certainly affected me because it's affected the world economy and world markets. I didn't buy gold and silver after 2010, but last summer, 2019, I started buying gold and silver again. This, of course, just makes gold and silver more attractive because the more they print, the more gold and silver are going to do well down the road. Both are going to go much higher. Silver's a better buy right now than gold because silver's 50% below its all-time high. Gold is near its all-time high. So on a historic basis anyway, silver is cheaper. But I'm buying both and will buy both when the opportunities arise. Both are going to become overpriced during all of this, and they may turn into a bubble. If things get really, really, really bad, throughout history, Elijah, when people lose confidence in governments and in money, they've always bought gold and silver. Now, the politicians will say, don't bother with gold. Academics will tell you, don't bother with gold and silver. That's absurd. Might be. Maybe they're right. But all of us peasants, I'm an old peasant, and all of us peasants know that when things go wrong, we want to have a little gold in our pocket. So I continue to buy gold and silver and will continue to because I'm an old peasant. Strange. It's never happened in history before. The U.S. is the largest debtor nation in the history of the world. You could have said that 6 months ago too, and the debt has skyrocketed again. You could never have had, ever in history, the head of the Bank of Japan saying, I will print unlimited amounts of money. For a serious central banker to say that ever in history, he would have been laughed out of town. No, these things are absurd that are going on now. The risk for gold and silver, as far as I'm concerned, is they might turn into a bubble. Now, if they turn into a bubble, I'll have to sell, because you have to sell bubbles. Because once they collapse, it takes years. First of all, they go down dramatically, and then it takes years for them to come back. And I don't want to sell my gold. I want my children to have my gold and silver someday. Everybody should own gold and silver as an insurance policy, if nothing else. So I don't want to have to sell my gold and silver. So I hope it doesn't turn into a bubble. But Elijah, you said it. There are very strange things happening in the world right now. Well, partially because it got bashed so much in the panic, but also because, as I said, they're printing and spending and borrowing huge amounts of money. The money's got to go somewhere, Elijah. And historically, the fastest and simplest place is into the financial markets. It's very easy to pick up the phone or go on the computer and buy yourself skillions of bonds or stocks. To build a factory takes a while. To sell products and get receivables and inventory takes a while. But you can go on the internet or on the computer in 30 seconds, put a lot of money to work. Well, Elijah, there is a V shape, but hear me out. For instance, I live in Singapore. Well, the airport closed. Everything closed. Now they're having 50 flights a week or something. I mean, when you go from 0 to 50 flights, you think, oh boy, there's a big recovery going on. And then you go to 100 flights and 500 flights. And everybody says there's a recovery. And that is a recovery from nothing. Is it real? No, of course it's not real, but it's certainly a V-shaped recovery. How long will it last? Well, certainly, as you know, in America, we have an election in November. So the politicians are going to do everything they can to get reelected. It's not good for you and me, but that's their business, to get reelected. So you're going to see a lot of good things happening to help them get elected, and that may keep the markets up for a while. And like it's happening all over the world. As I'm not picking on the U.S. now, as I said, the Bank of Japan goes there and prints as much as he can every day.